What's up, guys? Welcome to part 1 of the story of Rocket League. Alright guys, so just before we start the video, I just want to mention that this is not a story of how Rocket League was made, but it's about the story of inside the game. An example could be how the Egg People came to be, not how Psyonix created the Neo Tokyo map. Also, another thing that this is all completely from my imagination. Even though that some of this came from very extensive research, there could be other explanations for some of this stuff. None of this should be taken as fact, as it is either made up by me or someone else. Chapter 1. Alright guys, let's get started. So let's go before Rocket League existed, back in October of 2008, the day their original Rocket League was released. Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket-Powered Battle Cars. Yes, that's actually what it's called. So this game, the prequel to Rocket League, this is where it all starts. Let's just say that this game is torture to the modern Rocket League player. Physics and camera settings are absolutely horrible. Even though this game is now a nightmare for Rocket players nowadays, it was normal back then. This is where the Kronovi era begins. Kronovi was the best player of the time, already capable of some moves that are still hard to accomplish today. Kronovi practiced and practiced and practiced. He never would ever dream of what would become of him in 2016. He played every day with his friends until July 7th of 2015, the best day known to man, a date known to all true gamers as the beginning of Rocket League. Now our main character, Kronovi, was just as hyped as everyone else. He could not wait to start playing Rocket League. But even then, he had no idea of the legend that would become of him. Now let's skip ahead to 2016. The year of the very first RLCS. Kronovi had been playing Rocket League for a year now, being one of the best players in the world at that time. Then, a team called I Buy Power Cosmic picked him up, and Kronovi gladly joined the team. They played and played and played until they reached the grand finals. Kronovi, with his teammates Overzero and Lachinio, faced off against Flipside Tactics, which had a stacked roster with names like Cookser, Mike Rules, and Marky Duda. They played each game with fierce determination, each team desperately wanting that trophy, being able to say that they won the very first RLCS. Each team battled it out, but only one team would come out as the winners. The winners were, you guessed it, I Buy Power Cosmic. Kronovi won his very first RLCS, the legend, arguably the face of Rocket League at the time. Chapter 2. Now, on another note, let's look into more detail of this story. Not the story of the players, but of how the sport itself began. For years, scientists have argued about the possibility of a different dimension. Even though not many know it, Rocket League is that other dimension. The world of Rocket League has been around for centuries. It does have some similarities to our dimension, but also has some very distinct differences. The only way known to man to get to this other dimension is through the video game of Rocket League. Let's go into what happens inside this dimension and learn more about it. Hundreds of years ago, the Egg People were much more advanced than the human race, already knowing how to easily go from planet to planet. They developed unbelievable technology. They even knew how to store huge structures and buildings instead of very, very small areas. This was in a way another dimension inside their dimension. I'm not going to explain how to get to this other dimension as it is much too complicated for the human mind to comprehend, but we call this other dimension the lab, but we will come back to that later. When the game was first being created, a very, very long time ago, the game was very similar to what we know today, the cars, ball, goal. The game has always been played in the same way. Even though nowadays the egg people have created more complicated game modes, such as drop shot and heat seeker, the original game has always been the same. Now it is unknown the exact origins of Rocket League, but the myth goes like this. One day, an egg scientist and engineer was trying to create a car that would not take damage from hitting stuff when it is going at top speed. He worked for days and days, but eventually figured it out. After making that car, he made more and more. One day, a brilliant idea came to him. They could play sports with these cars, they wouldn't get damaged. He brainstormed and came up with the idea of Rocket League. He experimented with different cars, the ball, and what their arenas would look like. After years of hard work, he came out with the finished product, which is the Rocket League we know today. A very interesting fact is that the sport is not called Rocket League. The sport is called Supersonic Acrobatic Record Powered Battle Cars. It was called that then, and it is still called that now. Rocket League is just a league that we play in. All the tournaments, ranked games we play, all of that stuff, it's all part of that league. In other places in the egg dimension, there are other leagues, but Rocket League is the biggest one we know of so far. Now, let's go back to our dimension, on our planet, into the west coast of the United States of America, primarily San Diego and California, at Psyonix's headquarters. Now, it is unknown how Psyonix discovered the egg dimension. Somehow they did. They made the video game, which is a port onto their world, which means that when we are playing the game we all love, we are in a way in another dimension. Also, the lab maps. They were within that other dimension we talked about just a minute ago. This smaller dimension where they could fit huge buildings and structures inside of very small places, yet all the lab maps you play in, that's that other dimension. Chapter 3. Now, the rest of 2016, the places that arenas were made got a little more unique. The Neo Tokyo map will be the first one that we will look into. With the bringing about of Neo Tokyo, a lot of new stories and theories were brought with it. The map had tons of advertisements, such as ones for Bob's Ramen, and also had a hologram of Buffy Sugo, who we all know has her own goal explosion now. This map, like many others, had Moai, which obviously play a huge part in Rocket League, but I am going to save the story of all the Moai and all that, and trying to figure that out for the next video, so make sure to watch that in episode 2. The next theory comes from a commenter. So, basically Bob from Bob's Ramen built Buffy Sugo. Buffy Sugo obviously is a robot, and after assisting Bob, Buffy Sugo was allowed to do as she wished. She decided to become an EDM/pop star. In theory, the music that you hear in-game is made by Buffy Sugo. I have looked into it, and there is a decent chance that this is possible. Maybe Buffy Sugo is sponsored by Rocket League, or sponsors Rocket League. She could have somehow made a deal with the league to get her own goal explosion. If you look into it, there are a lot of Easter eggs and other stories that can come from the Neo Tokyo map, but I'll leave that all for another video. The next interesting map is Aquadome. I've looked through this map, and there are not many clues to anything super interesting that can prove anything, besides that it is underwater. The fact that it is in an ocean and has animals in the water that we can recognize is very interesting. This shows that the egg dimension may be much more similar to our dimension than we realize. Not long after we first saw the first Aquadome map, Starbase Arc was released. This proves the egg people are way more advanced than us humans are. Being able to have a huge space station around an unknown planet, it's just ridiculous, it's crazy. And having a pitch where they play car soccer instead of having some science stations or something shows that they probably have even more of these space stations for all that sciencey stuff. Chapter 4. Going back to Kronovi in Esports. Even though Kronovi is and always will be a great player, there is someone else that came into the spotlight. Turbo Pulsa. For any Rocket League player, that name probably brings memories. Turbo won 4 RLCS Grand Championships so far. I'm not going to go into much detail about Turbo's story, but I will talk a little about of the championships that he won. Turbo's first win, Season 3. He was playing with Team Northern Gaming. His teammates were Devo and Remcoa. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, so if I'm not, I apologize. And as of right now, Turbo, he's the person that has the most RLCS wins. Imagine winning 4 RLCSs. Winning 1 is a huge accomplishment. One of the best players in the world if you win RLCS. You won 4? That's just ridiculous. That's crazy. Turbo Pulsa, he's arguably the best player of all time. And if there was a Rocket League Hall of Fame, he wouldn't only be in it, the Hall of Fame would probably be named after him. That's how good he is. Like I said, he won his first RLCS with Northern Gaming. His second win in Season 4 with Gale Force Esports. His third win was in Season 5 with Team Dignitas when they went against Team NRG. And one of the most memorable goals in the game ever was scored. I'm sure you have seen it, or at least heard of it. Game 7, Grand Finals, Team Dignitas with the lead. Kickoff with about 2 seconds left in the game. Ball goes to the wall, bounces off. A Dignitas player hits it into the NRG zone. Bouncing off the corner, NRG player passes it over to another player. He hits it up, all the way up into the air. Justin flies up, gets a light touch, putting the ball down into the goal. NRG lost the finals in overtime, being a very, very disappointing loss for Garrett G, who has tried and tried again to get a win in the RLCS Grand Finals. That whole story I am going to save for another video. After beating NRG in Season 5, Turbo went to North America and joined the team he helped beat. NRG was an unstoppable force with Justin, Garrett G, and Turbo Pulsa. They stormed their way to the Grand Finals, and Turbo won against his last team, getting his 4th RLCS win. Anyways, I am getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'm going to leave the rest of that story for the next episode. If you guys want and enjoy what I talked about esports here a little bit, I would love to make more videos on esports, because I love watching esports and I keep track of it a lot. So if you guys would enjoy it, I would 100% make more content featuring esports. So just let me know in the comments if you guys would like to see videos featuring esports. Alright guys, that is the end of this episode. Make sure to watch the next episode as soon as it comes out. I'll be continuing where I stopped here and going to when Rocket League went free to play. And I have some very interesting theories for that, so make sure to check that out as soon as it was released. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. I'm not getting many likes recently in my videos, and I really need some to grow my channel. I would love to grow my channel, honestly, so if you just enjoyed the video, please just click that like button. It's really just a press of a button. It would help me out so much. Also, if you like this video, make sure to check out my channel, as I have a lot of similar videos and have a lot of big videos planned to post in the future. So make sure to subscribe if you enjoy my content. Alright guys, that's about it. Comment below if you have any theories about anything Rocket League related. I love to see all your guys' comments. Anyway, that's going to be it. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.